The suspect in an attempted terror attack on New York's subway system Monday is set to appear in court, while commuters say things are back to normal in the Big Apple.
I don't think anything of it. New York NYPD is awesome, and I feel very protected by the city, and I feel very protected by the MTA, and I don't have any worries.
The suspect, Akayed Ola, is an immigrant from Bangladesh. He arrived in the U.S. with a family-based visa. He is charged with using a weapon of mass destruction in an attack for the Islamic State that left him and 3 others injured. Joining us now is Congressman Mike Gallagher, a Republican from Wisconsin. He serves on the House Armed Services and Homeland Security Committees. Welcome back to the program.
It's good to be back. Thank you for having me.
You have warned Americans in the past and on this program to take terrorism threats seriously, especially now during the Christmas season. We have seen an attack in New York. Is it something you have expected?
What we saw before over the last couple of years was ISIS in their magazine Dobik started to advertise with pictures of large vehicles asking their adherents to mow down the infidels and the crusaders. And indeed, that's exactly what happened in various European capitals and even in our own country. So, and that magazine, which was called Dobik, referring to a city in Syria, has now been renamed Rumia, which means Rome. And that itself illustrates how the threat is metastasizing and is how, while we squeeze ISIS in Iraq and Syria, we have to be cognizant of the ways in which the threat will metastasize and the threat it poses to our own homeland here.
You've served for 7 years in the United States Marine Corps. You deployed twice to Iraq, and our State Department just congratulated Iraq that the war against ISIS is over after 3.5 years. Russian President Putin went to Syria yesterday to declare victory on ISIS as it does get squeezed, as you mentioned, out of Iraq and Syria. Is that the end?
Absolutely not. We're involved in a generational struggle here. And really, I chair a task force on denying terrorist entry in the United States. And we look at all the ways in which bad guys could get into this country. But really, the most difficult thing to confront is the way in which terrorists cross our borders thousands of times every single day digitally, online. This question of online radicalization, and it looks like the individual in the New York case was radicalized online and took a couple of trips back to Bangladesh. That's an enduring and very difficult problem, and one that we're going to have to leverage every instrument of national security to confront. So we cannot let off the pressure at home.
As a Catholic lawmaker, there is another kind of terrorism that is happening across our country. And it has resulted in the next following things. A Christmas charity event in Spokane, Washington last week had volunteers take training sessions for an active shooter. Church officials on Long Island met with police last week about safety in Christmas services. Is this the new normal for churches and charities?
I would hope not. Listen, there's always been this tension in our society between our freedoms and our liberties and security. And there's always going to be ways in which we may be vulnerable to attack. You can't have 100% perfect security, but I don't think we should accept it as the new normal. I think we need to think about ways in which we can evolve our defenses. But to me, the best defense comes in all of these cases from a strong community with a strong relationship to local law enforcement.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate all the work that you're doing. On behalf of the United States, Merry Christmas to you, Congressman Mike Gallagher, Republican from Wisconsin.
Merry Christmas.